Hey folks, welcome back to the YouTube channel. Thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to be switching things up based on popular request for a voiceover. Airports are pretty loud and filled with unique sounds. I'm sure you want to hear those over me, so I'll keep it brief while shedding some light on the refueling process during my day on the job. Now as we go along, if you have any thoughts or suggestions on how we can strike the right balance, feel free to drop a comment down below. I've also noticed some recurring questions popping up in the comments, so we're going to tackle those too. Without wasting any more time, let's jump into today's video. Today's aircraft is pretty special. It's operated by WestJet, which is the second largest Canadian airline, second only to Air Canada. As we near the plane over here to our left, we see the one-of-one Walt Disney livery that makes it really stand out. Nicknamed the Magic Plane by the carrier, it was unveiled in December of 2013. As we're approaching the aircraft, I'm seeing the ticket calls for just north of 31,000 pounds of fuel. This comes up to about 17,000 litres of Jet A1, which is par for the course considering it's headed to Vancouver. If it arrived on fumes, that would be about half the capacity of the fuel truck, but as it goes, planes land with a good reserve left in the tank, so it won't be that much. Now what I'm grabbing here is called the deadman control. In simple terms, it's just a safety mechanism that stops the refueling process if the operator lets go of the switch. This yellow wire is the bonding cable. It balances the electric charges between the truck and the aircraft to prevent an arc. Here I decided to use the prod to do the bonding. I just use that clip sometimes to prevent it from falling out. Coming back to the truck here, I'm just entering the arrival fuel load. This allows the system to calculate a required uplift. That metal nozzle at the end is called the single point, and it weighs about 25 to 30 pounds. Some aircraft, like the 340 shown in one of my previous videos, or the 747, have up to 4 single point connections to allow for a higher flow rate. There are 3 fuel tanks in a 737. This is called the clear and bright test. Fuel that has cleared the filters is redirected to this jar for inspection. After it all settles out, we'll have a look for any sediment, particulates, or water. This is the DP gauge, or differential pressure gauge. It tells us the delta P between the inlet and outlet side of the filter vessel, and it's helpful to diagnose any issues. For example, a high delta P would indicate a clogged filter, and a very low delta P like 0 would tell us that the filter is compromised. Here I'm filling out a transportation of dangerous goods form. Here I'm just double checking and triple checking the distribution of the fuel, so we know that the wing maxes of the 737 is 8,500 pounds, and then the rest of the load would go into the center tank. .737 aircraft do not have an automatic refuel mode. That means that the operator is responsible to close the valves on time. So when doing these planes, there's just a bit more caution. And we're always checking that the wing tanks are on track. That's because although there is a high level shutoff on the 737s, it's not a guarantee and it could fail. There goes the catering truck. This is the fuel meter on the truck. And since we started, we've pumped about 5,000 liters of fuel. So this process goes by pretty quick on the 737, even with one single point. We're pumping at about 1,300 liters per minute. You can actually tell with most short-haul planes if they have Wi-Fi on board. The little hump above the W is where the Wi-Fi antenna is housed. Because we're pumping at such a high flow rate, even when I shut off the valve, it'll continue to roll up for another couple seconds.
Yes, sir. No complaints.
Now I just punch in the departure fuel, which is how much I left the plane with, and finishing out some paperwork to print the ticket. So you can see here that I started off with 37,000 liters in my truck, and after this flight, I'm left with 23,000. Always printing 2 tickets, one for our records and one for the flight crew. Good morning.
Good morning.
How you doing? Thank you very much.
Give that to them. Yeah,
Appreciate
thank you very much.
Sounds good, copy that.
And with that, we're done with the flight. Let me know what you guys think of this new video format with the voiceover. If you have any suggestions, feel free to drop them below, and until next time. $120.
Red eye.